I mean,
Approximately a year and a half ago, My Hero One's Justice was released as the first My Hero Academia console video game. To no one's surprise, it was an arena fighter developed by King and published by Bandai Namco, as many anime games are. And it was met with generally underwhelming reviews. The game itself was presented very well in its first CGI trailer, but when we got to the actual game, the visuals just kind of looked off. Now, One's Justice 2 is now out a whole year and a half after the first game. Is it worth $60? Or is it a bumbling mess of a video game? Well, I'm here to say that, from my experience, My Hero One's Justice is a solid game with enough content to be worth $60, but I am unsure if I fully believe that it is worth $60 at the end of the day. A few things to note, first of all, are I will not be talking about the story, as you can watch the anime or read the manga on assorted different places, and I highly recommend that you do that and not get the story from this game. It's essentially a watered down version of the anime or the manga. Visually, this game's alright. It's improved a little bit since a year and a half ago. I can't say that I'm all that impressed by the visuals, but the CGI, or the pre-rendered cutscenes, not CGI, I'm sorry. The pre-rendered cutscenes are perfectly fine. The intro and victory animations are more vibrant and lively, which makes them nicer to look at, and they're less static and simple than they used to be in the previous game. The menu animations have like a nice touches to them. They're a little more animated, and I think that makes them more interesting. The music is bland, just like the last game. It feels kind of like a shitty ripoff of the anime music, and it's relatively unmemorable, but that's fine for this kind of game. I mean, it's not like we were expecting the game to have amazing soundtracks, but it's not really anything that you're probably gonna put into your playlist. Maybe you will, but I don't think it's really worth that much. Gameplay-wise, there are mild improvements, like including specific team specials and team intros and victory animations. However, these are very limited. You have ones that make sense, like Midoriya, Ida, and Todoroki have one, and Bakugo, Kirishima, and Kaminari have one, but overall, you're gonna find that some pairings are oddly excluded. Things like the big three don't have one. For some reason, both internship teams from Season 4 do have one, but one of the main internship teams does not have one. So, it is relatively underwhelming to a degree. However, it's nice that it is there, but these could have been things in the first game as well. It feels kind of like MVCI, where these things had like proof of concepts, but there weren't enough of them for me to really care about it. Dodging mechanic is a good addition. However, the way tracking works makes dodging a little bit iffy. Sometimes I can't tell if a opponent is just going to track straight into me as I dodge, or if they're just going to fly by me. It seems like a timing based thing, which is good, but you know, it's a little weird with some characters' moves. Dash canceling costs meter now, which is good because dash canceling was pretty busted in the original, if I'm not mistaken. As far as I could remember, characters weren't as meter hungry as they were in this one, which is good because some characters seem to be a little more broken than others if they were able to utilize the mechanics the way they were in the first game. It is an arena fighter, so balance really isn't expected, but I do have some issues with guard break moves. For one, I understand that you're supposed to predict when someone is going to guard or use a super armor move and react with the guard breaks. However, it feels like the guard breaks are a little bit too slow most of the time to even be utilized. I prefer a much weaker and faster move rather than a slow one. However, I do understand why, as a lot of the super armor moves are slow, and making these moves too fast would make guard breaking the only thing people would do in game. Needless to say, the difference between certain guard breaks and the time it takes for them to use it makes these moves seem underwhelming most of the time. Dash movement is also easily abused. You can view this within CPU players. However, having the dash movement means that projectile spammers will probably be punished for playing very spammy, I guess. There are also weird non-updated characters. A lot of characters had intro and victory animations updated, but then a lot of characters also are missing some of their more signature moves from recent times. I think they could have updated Midoriya pre-shoot style with the version of him that is currently debuting in the anime now, because I don't really think people played pre-shoot style Midoriya, but I don't really know, I guess. It just seems like a weird character to keep the way he is, because he's kind of boring to play as personally. Kirishima did not receive Unbreakable in any way, shape, or form, as far as I could tell. I haven't played that much of Kirishima, but even his level 2 super does not utilize it. Bakugo, I guess they could have gone and done his armor-piercing shot, but that's excluded as well, and Tokoyami, I'm pretty sure, has nothing referencing his new ability, Black Abyss. And there are probably some other exclusions that are a bit strange, but here we are, right? A lot of characters don't really talk or, like, verbalize their moves, per se. For example, like, All Might has his different smashes, and he doesn't really name any of them. A lot of characters are just not, verbalizing the names of their moves, which I think is a little weird considering the nature of the show or the manga, where they do either verbalize it in their head or externally, and I think that's a little bit important because it just kind of fits in with the way these characters use their moves. I don't know. I think it would be a cool addition to have. It's not necessary, but, it would be nice. I think in terms of the story, it's fine. It's just a little weak because of how it's presented to you, but thank God I can skip it because I've seen it already in better forms. There are specific things that I liked more of how they did it in the game than in the anime. There's one pre-rendered scene that I really like a lot more that they did, the way they did it in, or the way it's animated in the game than in the anime. No blood allowed. That makes one of the pre-rendered cutscenes very weird. It's extremely strange. I don't like it. Didn't like that one at all. And the final boss for the story is interesting. It's an interesting concept. but it's definitely not something I want to play again, because I really wasn't having that much fun when I did it. Now, accessibility wise, and this is a huge problem for me, no subtitles. But why? I don't speak Japanese, so I can't understand what the characters are saying when they do their intros and stuff, and I'm pretty sure there was no subtitle option. But yeah, I can't understand any of the interactions, and even like the voice packs that you can use the in-game currency to purchase, it's kind of like, why would you purchase any? It doesn't make a difference because I can't understand what they're saying, you know? No subtitles, nothing. And I don't really watch the dub, or I don't watch it fully, just maybe specific parts, but a dub would alleviate, at least partially alleviate, the need for subtitles. Now, then you get into the whole conversation of accessibility to people with disabilities, and that's different, but also very the same. You should have subtitles and a dub in your game being made for a relatively successful show. That's how I feel, at least. I don't know how well this game is doing, however, so it may have something to do with that, and the first one may have not reached the target audience they wanted it to, or the target numbers, so they didn't push to get voice actors for a dub or to push for subtitles. But I think these are two things they should greatly consider, either patching in or, well, no, not patching in, because you have to pay the voice actors and stuff, but at least patching in subtitles, or to put it in the next game. I don't care, one of those two. Well, you have to pay translators too. It's a whole mess, but do it for the next game, if there is one, please. There probably will be, because it feels like you're essentially paying for like a fan translation of a game at that point, which, you know, to be fair, you should still be paying for the stuff you buy, but why should I pay $60 for a game that's only, essentially, to me, half translated? It just feels kind of wrong. At the end of the day, also the mission mode is worse than the first game, personal preference, because I deeply enjoyed mission mode in the first game, and in this game it's been changed, and it's not bad, but I don't like it as much as I did before. Everything feels like it flows a lot slower, and that's not fun for me because I just want to get into the action. My final verdict for this game is a 5 out of 10. I'm pretty indifferent on it at full price. I think it's got a lot of good points and a lot of bad ones. It's fun, gameplay-wise, but it's unbalanced, which Arena Fighter, so expected, and it feels like sometimes it lacks like the charm that the anime has or the manga has, naming moves and stuff, because the moves are not verbalized in name, which is not something they necessarily need to do, but it would be cool to have a few moves for some of the characters that are verbalized. Music is bland, but it fits, it's just unmemorable. Visuals are decent. It's more lively than the first game, but it's still nothing to write home about. And the story is good, but just watch the anime. Now, I want to note something about the Season Pass at the end of here, since the previous game had its DLC priced at $3 each. Note that you are getting 5 characters in the Season Pass. It says so on the Steam description. So it's 5 characters. They've been data mined, I'm pretty sure, so we already know who they are. I'm not going to mention names, you can look it up yourself. But each character is priced at $3, the same they were in the last game. Then $20 Season Pass is more than you're paying for the characters. Now, if they each come with a mission mode thing, then that's an extra $2 on top of that based on the last game, so then it's worth it if you want the mission mode stuff, which I personally don't, so I would just buy each of the characters individually and get it for $15. Season Pass comes with some extra customizable stuff. Maybe, if you're interested, you can pick it up, but I just don't see a reason to if you just want the characters. So, with all that in mind, take that note for the Season Pass. Aside from that, this has been me giving my review on My Hero One's Justice 2. Thanks for watching.